General Hospital spoilers for the week of August 4th to 8th state that Anna Devane will not only confront Jack Brennan about Josslyn Jack's WSB agent status, but she will also be attacked and perhaps kidnapped. So let's speak about it. The GH teaser opens with Anna at Brennan's office, where the two are having a heated argument. Anna explodes at the WSB lead, warning him, "There is going to be hell to pay when Carly finds out what you have done to her daughter." As Anna says this, the screen shifts to another tape of Brennan and Joss. Brennan offers Josslyn a yellow envelope as the young woman looks contemplative and little melancholy. Anna knows Josslyn is a WSB agent. May she be fired or reassigned? Either option could result in the upset. Jason Morgan and Sonny Corinthos are next seen at the Metro Court pool. It appears to be nighttime when Jason tells Sonny that he believes Britt Westbourne is still alive. Anna asks Jason to find her as soon as possible, and Jason is surprised by his friend's plea. Anna is most likely informing Jason about Josslyn's new career decision, hoping that he can prevent Carly's daughter from getting into any additional trouble. Still, will he make it to Josslyn in time? Speaking of Jason, as the GH preview for the week of August 4th progresses, the next clip shows Britt in her Five Poppies resort room, telling someone on the phone, "We have a huge problem." Britt appears scared and nervous, so there's a good chance she saw someone from Port Charles and is reporting back to whoever is keeping her away. The final scene of the GH teaser is terrifying to say the least. Anna is on the pier when an unknown figure approaches from behind, drapes a black bag over her head to hide her vision, takes her up and pulls her away. Anna screams, caught off surprise. Who has taken her? And is it because she knows too much about Josslyn or something else? General Hospital spoilers for the week of August 4th to 8th promise lots of surprising occurrences, as Britt's return to the canvas, as well as WSB's mission to capture Henry Hank Dalton's lab research, continue to dominate storylines. According to General Hospital spoilers, Port Charles is buzzing with secrets this week as Josslyn Jack's undercover WSB assignment in Europe collides with an unexpected encounter. Joss and Vaughn are posing as a married couple under aliases while tracking Professor Henry Hank Dalton's dubious tech operations. She is unaware that she is booked at the same Dubrovnik hotel as Britt Westbourne, who was proven alive after Jason Morgan's Paris airport sighting a few weeks earlier. Obviously, Joss is unaware of this. When Joss spots Britt, will she alert Jason or remain silent, knowing that Britt may reveal her spy role? Joss' mission takes a shocking turn. Joss' entry into the WSB, disguised as Vaughn's wife, to infiltrate Dalton's operation has fans excited, but her stay at the same Dubrovnik hotel as Britt changes everything. Imagine Joss, heart beating, encountering Britt, alive and carrying her poppy-adorned bag. In the hotel foyer, a secret that only Jason suspects after his Paris encounter. Joss' purpose requires secrecy, but Britt's survival may persuade her to trust in him. Fans are divided. Would Joss jeopardize her cover to divulge Britt's existence, or will she remain silent to preserve her identity from a lady who may identify her? GH spoilers gush. Britt's presence threatens Joss' covert game in a heart-pounding moment. Joss will most likely catch eyes with Britt across the hotel bar, putting her alias as Vaughn's wife at jeopardy. Joss is clenching her fake wedding ring as she considers whether to inform Jason, who is yearning for Britt's return, or to keep her lips locked, knowing Britt could blow her WSB cover. Fans are divided, fearing a standoff in which Britt may spot Joss and jeopardize her quest. Anna Devane remains silent as she monitors Joss' mission, while Carly Spencer, who is unaware of her daughter's covert life, becomes suspicious. Will Joss stand firm or back down? General Hospital spoilers. Will Joss reveal Britt's secret or remain silent? Investigating Joss' high-stakes mission, her meeting with Britt might change everything. Will she tell Jason or perhaps Liesl Albrecht, jeopardizing her cover, or will she remain silent, avoiding the pandemonium that would result if she blew her own cover for any reason? Sure, she could say she was on vacation when she spotted Britt, but something tells us that however they come into contact, Britt will have clear insight into what Joss is up to. Stay tuned for more GH news and spoilers to see if Joss spills or remains hidden. Jason was halfway out of the Corinthos safe house before anyone could stop him. His phone buzzed in his hand with the most recent update. No new leads. Josslyn's phone had been discovered in an alleyway near Pier 48. Its screen cracked, with no trace of her in the nearby vicinity. And now Anna was also absent. This was no coincidence. Someone was planning something, and Jason was determined to figure out who. Back at General Hospital, Britt Westbourne glanced at the medical file in her palm, but she couldn't concentrate. Her hands trembled slightly, a sensation she hadn't experienced since being diagnosed with Huntington's disease. Her symptoms were from fear, not her own. Something enormous was unraveling. She'd attempted to ignore the early warning signs, missing medical supplies, a suspicious case of altered patient records, and a cloned security badge used after hours. But now she understood. Someone within the hospital was doing something dangerous. And the worst part? Her name was all on the paperwork, like if someone had set her up. She contacted Anna Devane earlier that morning. Britt hadn't gone into too much detail because Anna already had her hands full, and Britt had never been one to ask for assistance. However, Anna was no longer answering her phone. She had left a voicemail. "Anna, I believe someone is targeting me. I did not do what they implied in those files. Please call me back. It has been 3 hours." No response. And now Jason was looking for the same threat from a new angle. Curtis Ashford sat at the Savoy, lost in thought, swirling a non-alcoholic beverage. Portia had scarcely talked to him since the argument. He'd been protective and unclear about where he was spending his late hours. Even he found it difficult to face the truth. He'd failed. He'd been interested in something else, something murky and confusing, and he'd backed out too late. The lady he loved was tired of making excuses and keeping things hidden. But it wasn't only that. Curtis felt deep down that her anger was justified. His decisions had driven a chasm between them. And suddenly Anna was gone. Curtis had seen her the day before, asking inquiries on the docks. She'd pushed a little too hard. Somebody had noticed. Curtis had tipped her off in the first place. Jason pushed through the warehouse doors near Pier 48. He moved quietly, eyes scanning and hand hovering near his weapon. The building had been mostly cleaned, with the exception of one fresh footprint in the dust. It was too little for Josslyn. Perhaps Anna's. Perhaps it is someone else. Jason followed it until he noticed something in the corner. A patch of blood. Fresh. Only a smudge, but enough to set his jaw. He snapped a photo and texted it to Spinelli. "Analyze for trace and timeline. I want to know whose blood this is." Back at the hospital, Britt presented the head of HR with a copy of the file incriminating her in illicit drug prescriptions. "This isn't mine," she said with tight teeth. "I never approved these. I was in Budapest when half of the orders were placed. Check the logins. Your credential was used," the woman explained calmly. "And this isn't the first time. Look, Britt, we're going to have to put you on administrative leave while we investigate." "I don't have time for this," Britt said, furious. "Someone is framing me, and a friend of mine has disappeared. There are 2 of them, actually. Do you think I care about protocol right now?" The HR woman did not flinch. "Then maybe you should go find a lawyer too." Jason's phone rang. Spinelli's response. "Preliminary match indicates a female, O+, high likelihood match to Devane. We are awaiting full results." Jason's breath caught. Anna had obviously been there. Recently. "Maybe you got hurt." He increased the pace. Outside, the rain was falling heavier, transforming the city into a blur of gray and light. He accessed the street camera network and instructed Spinelli to compare movement around the docks with known players. Whoever did this had experience. They left no trace. But Jason knew one thing. Josslyn was not a target of opportunity. She was bait. And Anna? She had probably attempted to intercede. Josslyn had been walking home from the cafe when the incident occurred. A van drew up, the door slid open and 2 people emerged. They hadn't even bothered wearing masks. That told her everything. They weren't concerned about being recognized. They didn't think she'd live long enough to matter. But Joss had kicked and yelled, and someone must have heard because they raced to get away. She barely remembered being tossed into the back of the van, just the sound of tires screeching and the sensation of something heavy pushing down on her. And then nothing. Darkness. Cold. A concrete floor. Somewhere underground. They had confiscated her phone, but she had left a voice note recording going, which may have uploaded before they discovered it. Anna lay on the floor in a room not far from Josslyn. Her head throbbed, but she was alert now. She knew the location. an ancient holding cell used by the WSB years ago, and long since decommissioned. Or so she thought. She knew the layout and how to escape if she could only get to the door panel. However, her hands were zip-tied behind her back. She flexed her wrists and felt the plastic rip into her skin. Someone was playing a game. This wasn't simply a kidnapping. It was a message. Curtis finally took out his phone and called Jordan. "We should talk. I believe I've made an error." Jordan's voice sounded tense. "Something's going down, and it's bigger than I expected." "Do you mean Anna and Josslyn?" "Do you know?" Curtis asked. "It is all over the precinct. However, no one is discussing it publicly yet. Jason is already out there." "Don't go alone," Curtis advised. "I'm on my way to the last ping site right now. Whoever did this doesn't care about collateral damage." Jason was already on the outskirts of the same area Jordan was approaching. A dark tunnel led beneath the street, hiding behind a former textile warehouse. According to city records, the building was condemned, but Jason had long since learned not to trust paper. He dropped silently, lighting turned off, listening for voices. A faint groan came from somewhere nearby. "Female. Hurt." He pushed forward till he discovered the door. Reinforced. Old-school keypad lock. Jason removed a small device from his pocket, a code breaker Spinelli had given him months before, and hooked it to the panel. The LED blinked red and then green. The door hissed as it opened. Inside, Anna's eyes narrowed in response to the unexpected light. Jason instantly walked in and cut the zip ties without saying anything. "Josslyn," she rasped. "Still looking," Jason said. "Are you okay?" "I will live. But whoever did this, they're not done." "Good. Neither am I." Anna rose to her feet. "I believe this is WSB connected. Old technology. Old habits. But someone on the inside is aiding them. I figured. They also framed Britt in the process. She asked you for help, didn't she?" Anna nodded. "I think they wanted me out of the way before I could act on it." Jason assisted her out of the room, and they moved quickly, every second counted. Josslyn remained stuck somewhere close. Josslyn sat in the dark, her hands chained, yet she listened intently. One of her captors was speaking on the phone. She heard a name, Victor. Another, Selena. She wasn't sure if it was about who was issuing the instructions or who was betraying whom, but it was clear to her that this was bigger than just her and Anna. This was about control. Territory. Silence. She adjusted her weight, kicking the chair's metal leg into the wall 3 times. A signal. Jason overheard it. 3 harsh clangs. He turned to face Anna. "This way." They discovered the room 2 turns down the corridor. Jason kicked it in. Josslyn gasped as the light surged in. "It took you long enough," Jason said, cutting her ties. "Are you okay?" "Yeah. Just angry. And I heard a few names. I believe we're in deeper than anyone expected." Jason assisted both women to the street. As the group emerged into the darkness, the clouds parted briefly, and sirens sounded in the distance. The city was awakening to the storm. Back at the hospital, Britt was alone in her office. She wasn't aware that Jason had saved Josslyn or that Anna was free. But something within her shifted. She was not going to wait to be a scapegoat. She was about to fight back. Curtis stood at the bar again, but this time with resolve rather than guilt. He would tell Portia everything. He would fix whatever he could. But first he needed to assist those who still trusted him, even if he didn't always deserve it. Victor Cassadine, somewhere deep in Port Charles, smiled silently as he saw Jason, Anna, and Josslyn escape. Phase 1 was complete. Phase 2 was set to start. Josslyn Jax had always known how to ask questions discreetly. She'd inherited that skill from her mother, Carly, and has honed it into a silent art since Jason returned and everything in Port Charles began to change. This time, however, she was motivated by more than just idle curiosity or family drama. This time it was fear, and a desperate need to know what type of danger they were really in. She'd been watching Dalton for weeks. At first it was instinct, the way he constantly looking over his shoulder, the bizarre coded messages on his phone, and how he always seemed to be on the verge of any scene involving Sunny, Dex, or Drew. However, it eventually became more focused. She began following him whenever she could, and asked Trina to cover for her when she needed to disappear for an hour or 2. The deeper she dug, the more certain she grew that he was a part of something bigger, which she didn't fully comprehend. That brought her to the hospital. She overheard Dalton take a call the day before, whispering something about a package arriving through Britt's clearance, and Josslyn's heart nearly stopped. Britt Westbourne was reported to have died. They had mourned her. They had honored her memory. However, there had always been rumors, ideas, and the occasional unconfirmed sighting that suggested different. Could Britt actually be alive? And if so, why hadn't she informed anyone? What was she hiding from? That question dogged Josslyn as she sneaked into the sublevel of General Hospital, avoiding the customary security protocols. She was not foolish. She understood this was risky. But she also understood that if Britt had feigned her death, there had to be a reason, and whatever that reason was, it could explain Dalton's whole stay in Port Charles. She couldn't let it go. Joss moved along the corridor, his heart hammering. The corridor was poorly lighted, with half of the lights flickering like something from a suspense film. She held the small voice recorder she had placed in her jacket, hoping she wouldn't have to use it as proof. Then she spotted her. Britt. Alive. Standing just outside an office door. Joss' hair was longer than she remembered, but recognizable. She appeared tired and worn down, but nevertheless alive and in complete control of any circumstance she was in. Joss hid behind a cart of medical supplies and watched, unable to understand what she was witnessing. Britt was not alone. A man stood beside her. Not Dalton, but someone Joss did not recognize. They spoke low and earnestly, as if they didn't want anyone to overhear. Joss edged closer, catching snippets of speech. Can't delay it again. Someone is watching. Move the shipment now. Tonight. We can't afford another mistake. Josslyn's stomach twisted. This wasn't just about avoiding the past. Britt was part of something lively and scary. And if she was assisting Dalton in bringing in shipments of what? Guns? Drugs? Were medical supplies stolen? And then the entire community may be at peril. As the two figures returned to the office and locked the door, Joss considered what to do next. Part of her wanted to burst in, confront Britt, and demand answers. Another part of her shouted to flee, to inform Dex or perhaps Jason. But something stopped her. Britt had not seen her yet. This might be her only opportunity to learn more. She carefully approached toward the office door and bent down, clutching her recorder. Voices came through, muffled by the thick wood but just loud enough. Michael is also becoming suspicious. If he begins connecting the dots. He will not. He's too preoccupied with Willow. Besides, Sonny wouldn't believe him. Michael. Joss' breath caught in her throat. Whatever the operation was, it involved more than simply a few wayward shipments. They were manipulating the family. They were using their relationships, pain, and loyalty as cover. Britt's voice changed. Softer. Hesitant. I did not come back to harm them. You are aware of this. But you are causing them harm. Whether you intend to or not. There was silence after that. Then footsteps. Joss stepped away swiftly, his heart pounding as the door opened. Britt walked out alone, clutching a packet close to her chest. Her countenance was opaque, but her eyes were troubled. As she proceeded down the corridor, Joss remained rigid, not breathing, until the sound of heels clicking on tile faded. Now she had a decision to make. Tell someone or not. She knew exactly what Carly would do, what Trina begged her to do. However, something about Britt's expression made her hesitate. This was not only betrayal or corruption. It was painful. Regret. What brought Britt back? Who had she lost or attempted to save? Joss realized she needed answers. However, revealing Britt now may mean cutting off their only connection to whatever this scheme was. She has one chance to get this right. The following few days were a flurry of strain and late-night phone checks. She couldn't concentrate on school or even Dex, really. She repeatedly studied the audio tape, transcribing significant names and phrases. She cross-referenced the hospital's inventory databases with Trina's old access codes, and discovered several irregularities during the last 6 months. Shipments labeled private storage or off-site disposal, with no follow-up trail. All were linked to Britt's previous login information. It was real. All of it. And Joss was in over her head. She finally informed Dex. She couldn't keep him in the dark any longer. Not with this much risk. He paced the room while she narrated everything, including Britt's return, the conversation she overheard, and the recordings. He appeared stunned. Hurt. Is she alive? And she is working with them? Joss nodded, unsure how to deal with the shock. It is more complicated than that. I don't think she's the enemy, Dex said, running his hand through his torn hair. What if Sonny finds out? I know. But he cannot. Not yet. Josslyn made him vow to hold off for one night only. She needed more time. She needed to see Britt again, to speak with her face to face, not as a spy, but as someone who cared about the people affected. Because if Britt Westbourne had any humanity left, if there was still a part of her that cared about Port Charles or her old friends, she might be able to help stop this before it became something irreversible. The next night, Joss waited at the hospital's sublevel, less nervous and more determined. When Britt appeared, holding another folder, Joss emerged from the shadows. Britt. The woman froze. Her eyes widened as the folder slipped from her grasp, spreading documents across the floor. Josslyn? Her voice scarcely rose beyond a whisper. You're alive, Joss replied, moving forward. You've been here the entire time. Why? Britt looked about, anticipating guards or traps. You don't understand. Help me. Help me understand. There was a long silence. Britt sighed and stooped to grab her papers, without looking away from Joss. I did not stage my death to harm anyone. I was trying to protect someone. The situation became overwhelming. What are you doing with Dalton? It began as leverage. I believed I could control him, but he's part of something far larger. And now I'm stuck. Josslyn's breath caught. Then get out. Let me assist you. It isn't that easy. If I disappear again, people will perish. If I stay, they might. But if you collaborate with me, Joss said slowly, we can stop them. Britt gave her a long look. And for the first time, Joss noticed a change in her expression. A glimmer of hope, or even a desperate appeal for redemption. All right,